Once you have all the information from your client and you've created your thumbnail sketches, it's now time to take those sketches and refine them digitally. But first, before you do that, you have to weed out some of the bad ideas that you had during the thumbnail sketching process. And so in this movie, what I'm going to do is help you explore thumbnail sketches and walk you through my creative process as I'm going through a series of thumbnails. But first, in order to give you some context here, I'm going to walk you through this entire project. So this was a project I created for a fictitious company called Mary's Country Kitchen, and this PDF is included in your exercise files folder if you want to open that up. This is the creative brief, the very basic creative brief I showed you earlier, and let's just walk through some of this. So the background, this is a small restaurant in Nashville, Tennessee. They specialized in Southern home cooking food, specifically breakfast. They offer entrees and desserts. The project overview, the client wants a new from-scratch logo design, maybe a menu down the road, budget permitting, but in this case, we're not worried about that. We only need to focus on the logo. And so the goal for this project, they want to appeal to a wider audience and sort of update the look and feel of the restaurant branding. The client is considering opening new locations and might want branding worthy of franchising. Okay, so it needs to be something simple and easily reproducible. Got it. Target audience, new clients and prospective franchise owners. So it needs to be inviting to the clients, but also professional to the franchisees. And then, of course, we have message and tone. Logo should be warm, inviting. Mary's selling point is the good, wholesome family atmosphere, says the owner, okay? So we need to keep that in mind, good, warm colors. The colors should be representative of happiness and stimulate the appetite. All right, I know about that. I studied color theory, so I'm good. Client wants the viewer to, quote unquote, get hungry when they see the logo. Well, hey, we know what kind of colors stimulate that. And then visuals. The logo is to be from scratch, so we're not going to get any reference photos from the logo. They'll give us menu photos and staff photos if we do the menu, but we don't have to worry about that right now either. Specifics that they want. They don't want any pink or purple or any wild colors. It's very understated, down-home family restaurant. So traditional, I'm thinking picnic colors, right? Red, kind of a dark gray, that kind of thing. The owner wants the established date somewhere within the mark. So whenever it was established, the franchise itself, the original one, they want that somewhere in the mark. Okay, no problem. I can do that. So here's what I went through. I went through a series of thumbnails, and I'll just walk you through some of these. So I started off thinking I could do a play on the M for Mary, and then I went through and I thought, you know what? No, we need to get people hungry, right? So let's do forks and knives and spoons. That makes sense. And then went through here and I thought, well, maybe cool to incorporate a plate into there some way, and maybe a ribbon going across that says Country Kitchen with Mary, big script font in the back. I thought, no, we'll see. Then I thought, well, maybe a play on pots and pans with, the crossing of the fork and the spoon. Then I thought, well, that's skull and crossbones, not so much. And then, okay, maybe a farmhouse. It's kind of a farmhouse-looking restaurant. I saw pictures of it, so maybe that'll work. We'll see. And then up here, maybe a picture of the founder, but they didn't say they wanted anything about her in this, so maybe not. Then I thought, well, maybe just a play on a sandwich. It's like a burger bun with Mary's Country Kitchen, that kind of thing in the middle, and maybe each one could be a different color, almost like hamburger, lettuce, tomato. But then I thought, well, they specifically reference breakfast. Then I thought, okay, it's kind of an old school restaurant. They want to update the branding, but still have that old school feel. So I thought, okay, maybe like, 50s, 60s drive-in marquee style. And this is just literally what I'm doing as I'm going through here. I'm just sketching these things out really, really quickly. You can see they're low fidelity, no details, anything about this restaurant that just came to mind. I just wrote it down in visual form or jotted it down in some way. And so I just went through here, and what I did at the bottom, I wrote down the client's name. I wrote down what kind of project it was, when I was creating it, who I am, and then I always write down ideas that I want to explore. So in this case, 2, 3, 8, 9, 13, 15, and 19. So let's look at number 2. So here's number 2. What I liked about number 2 was the fork, the knife, and the spoon. What I liked about number 3 was the idea of playing with a plate and a ribbon. And then for number 8, I like the idea of the retro marquee. 9, again, with the spoon. I like the play on the spoon. And 13, again, with the plate, fork, and spoon. So I'm starting to get this idea that I like plates and spoons and ribbons and things like that. I like that idea floating in here. 15, kind of an ornate thing that I might want in there, maybe a flower pattern of some kind. And then 19, that's, again, going back to the plate. So I took all of these and I went into Illustrator. And I just started playing around with shapes and alignment and all this kind of stuff. And it takes a while. Don't get me wrong. This is not like a one day kind of process. But here is the end result of what I came up with for Mary's Country Kitchen. You can see I put all those major elements that I had into play. So I came up with the plate in the background. We've got a ribbon going across. We've got the play with the forks and the spoon, and then little ornate patterns thrown in there as well. It needed to be easily reproducible, so I tested it both on a light background and a dark background. Looks okay on both, I think. And then, of course, here's my developed color palette for this. I stuck with traditional dark red, light red, and then I've got 2 tones of gray. That's not white. It's actually a light gray. And then, of course, black thrown in there as well. All of those are going to be my primary, secondary, and what I call highlight colors. And so I used those throughout the entire design, and I think it came out really, really well. But I just wanted to show you how I get to where I'm going. So I read through the brief first. I make notes on that, and then I go into the thumbnail sketches. In the thumbnail sketches, it's literally just like ideas being sprayed onto a wall. And then I take a look at that wall, and I start to pick different parts of each thumbnail that I like. And then I write down which ones I want to explore. I make notes of those, of what I like about each one. And then I try to unify those into one single theme. And I think I pretty much got everything they wanted in here. It's very clean, easily reproducible. It's got the big marquee of the name of the restaurant. It's also got the established date. It's easily reproducible, which means it'll be easy for collateral, for franchising and things like that. So I think this works really well. And hopefully now you have a better understanding of what the process looks like for taking the idea from the client, turning it into a sketch, refining those sketches, and then what it might look like at the very end. And as we continue throughout this course and this chapter specifically, just keep these ideas in the back of your head so that you can kind of be playing with the same thoughts and ideas like I was when you're working on your own projects.